We're back with the League of the Genuine, your only show on the planet where we discuss the important but often ignored subject of counterfeits. This week and the past weeks, we've been having a hot issue that is trending, the issue of DNA testing. So many people are in tears. We get to know those who are in tears when they find out that some or most of the children that they thought were theirs are not their children. Today we would like to discuss DNA testing as a form of psychosocial counterfeit practice, or is it not? To help us unpack this discussion is a previous guest that we hosted in March of this year, where we discussed the psychology of fighting counterfeits at a family level. Join me in welcoming a psychologist, Ellen Chiumulo. You are welcome once again.
Thank you.
The last time we were on show, you were vouching for the boy child.
Yes.
And you're saying that we are putting a lot of effort propping up the girl child,
yes,
as against the boy child. But now the boy child is in trouble again. The boy child is at the wrong end of DNA results,
yes,
which are showing that he's not the father,
yes,
of the children. So the depression levels for the boy child have gone up.
yes, you're right.
This boy child is cursed or what? A lot of problems.
Now, first of all, when we are doing family work, we see the level of crisis that we have with men are in crisis, or the boy child is in crisis more than ever. And actually, most of them don't even want to settle in marriage, or don't want to marry. Now, when the DNA testing comes in and they are not faring well, meaning most of them are going to be lost. They are running away from the institution of family, and yet we desperately need them.
So DNA testing is estranging the boy child,
yes,
from their duties or from their office,
yes,
as the man,
yes,
as a father,
yes,
as a leader in the family.
yes.
So do you agree that DNA testing is a psychosocial counterfeit practice, seeing as we are largely a Christian nation? But I think Jesus in John 8, verse 7, when some people wanted to stone to death a prostitute, challenged the audience, the angry audience, that he who has never sinned should cast the first stone. And they promptly disappeared.
Yes.
So in this DNA testing saga, we have all sinned, so we should not cast a stone. Is that the African understanding of this?
Now, when we bring the psychological bit of it, when I was doing when I go for therapy, usually I asked him, why is it that I responded well to therapy and yet I was very desperate? And this is what he told me. He told me that therapy deals with the truth. If you say that, is it a psychosocial counterfeit? I would say, if it is the truth will set you free to some extent, though you need to be prepared. Because you can never run away from that truth, I would say. That's why after many years, it is coming and making noise, because we hid from the truth. I think the background would be these things would happen. For example, I looked at the Muslims. The Muslims have embraced the fact that no child is born out. The owner of the owner of the bed is the owner of all children. Now that is how the Muslims.
So who owns the bed, the woman or the man?
The man. That's how they sorted that crisis.
So in the Muslim world, there is no DNA
testing. That is their faith, and that is how they've done it. So they've sorted it. They've realized, yes, it can happen, but I don't know whether they've paid no attention to it, but that is how.
But don't you think that because DNA testing is a fairly new phenomenon, having been discovered in 1969, but DNA testing found the African society and its culture there. can you speak to African culture and DNA testing? Didn't we, in fact, also follow the belief that the owner of the bed or the head in the home is the father of the children? Did we, in African setting, have this?
We had an African DNA testing.
How was it done?
Have you heard of that story whereby when funerals were going to take place and they would get the, what are they called? Bulira, the codes that parents kept.
The code of the
child,
newborn.
of the newborn. They were kept. Then at a certain point, they would be dipped in water. And those which never came out, those which came up showed that those are our children
of the home.
Yes. And those which stayed. So DNA was.
So what
was
happened
cultured.
if the cord stayed down? The child is thrown out?
No, even if the cord stayed out, the African
stayed
down. The African setting was so strange. They would take it on with peace. So that would
the man would accept.
The man would accept, and the dad would also accept very well to take care of this child.
No, but the woman would have accepted before when she was conceiving the child. It's the man to accept.
Yes. Yeah.
But is this also because in the African setting, it was common for your brother to sleep with your wife and you to sleep with his and the neighbor and so on? Is it the common guilt and acceptance that made it easier to accept? After all, you also got your payback time.
Yes, I think yes, because this is something strange, but it was a normal thing for a neighbor to give birth, to love your wife, and you to also love a neighbor's wife.
That's how you promote good neighborliness.
I think, because, but that's how it was. So these children were known that this person belongs to the other neighbor. And the neighbor also knew that in this home I also have a child. So there was that peace because everyone was, I think, guilty.
So in a way, you are saying that we as Africans, we are now faking it to raise dust over the DNA results, which show that the child is not mine, after all, we have a lot of African sayings, one of which is that you won't know your father until your mother dies. That this probably is kept as a solemn secret by your mother. And your mother is your mother. We accept whatever it is. So are you saying, therefore, that the modern practice of checking DNA results and breaking up families and causing domestic violence could be a counterfeit practice, actually? We're not being real and genuine.
No, I would say we are not being fair to people who are culprits. The most comfortable person who are victims, yes. The most comfortable person in this, probably the person who would think is comfortable is the lady, is the woman.
But they're also uncomfortable. I saw some video on YouTube, an old man who was crying and begging the mother to open the door to tell him who his father was, and the mother was not opening the door.
Yes.
Meaning that she was not comfortable.
Yes, she's not comfortable. She's only not comfortable when the truth comes out. But provided she can keep this secret well, she's comfortable. Now look at this man who has educated children, given in all the fees on loans, and at a certain time...
And eaten all his savings.
Yes, and at a certain time, another man is coming in to claim. You see?
After he has spent time and money.
You see? Even then, because this child, there is a certain other child they showed who had even become a heir.
Yes, and then the heirship was cancelled.
It was cancelled, and he was given away into another family.
Where he didn't grow
up. It's good that this boy was still young, but even then he needed preparation. The fact that no one is safe in this project, that's why I think if we erase the noise about DNA, women will also stop, will be conscious of that act, because it's a common, it's a common normal
counterfeit. But some people have argued that the women who go sideways, sometimes the situation is forced on them by their infertile husbands, who actually don't want to admit that they're infertile, but they actually want to have children. And because society will more often not blame the lack of children in a family on the woman. On the woman even. They will say this woman has issues.
Yes, yes.
The man is a boss. They don't talk about it. So don't you think that there is a way nature is sorting itself out? Because as a woman, you're compelled to have children. Your
Yes.
system was made to have children.
Yes.
And as a man also, you sire children. So if there is a void, one of the parties to the union cannot facilitate that natural progression. Therefore, nature always finds a way.
Yes.
So that if this woman goes on the side and gets children, it is part of fulfilling a natural call, and that therefore there is nothing wrong with that. Isn't that an affront to morality and all these issues?
Now it is two-way. It is two-way. Now this is what happens. In most cases, actually, this is something also that we should look into. The fact that we've not been thinking, or we never thought that men would be infertile. Many people, many women gave birth to children to cover that. One time I got a case in my office where the man had 2 wives and he was infertile.
Known to everyone or to himself?
Or? He didn't know. Now, these women, they first stayed without children. So when one saw that the other one is having, this one realized that they will also get her, that she's not, that she's infertile. So she also got children from out, and this one got children from out. Now, at a certain stage, when this man is 65 plus, I don't know what compelled him to do a DNA test. At
65 years?
Yes. And he didn't have any of the children. In this woman, no. And in the other one, no. So I think it is also something.
He must have died immediately.
He didn't die. Of course, he was under counseling, and these children appreciated him and loved him, and, they honored him still.
So did the real McCoy, the real guys, appear to claim the children, or he was fortunate enough that the real fathers didn't come?
The real fathers didn't come.
But imagine if the fathers had come.
Now, imagine
that man would be on his deathbed.
Yes, but even then, imagine he educated the other children and this side. This is an eye-opener to men also, to check out on the fertility levels. Do they really, do they actually give birth or not? Because that is something that has been labeled on the women. So you realize
that...
So
you're telling our young production crew here, the young men here, to go and do a fertility test today.
Fertility test.
Before they even call us for wedding meetings and marriages.
Yes, because that is, many people are in that saga because of infertile fathers. For the low sperm count issue, look at the Bahima, the way they've handled it. Now, in Bahima, issues of infertility are not there. Why? But of course, even in the other olden setting, why? If this woman is brought in the world, or if she got married to you, she's a family wife.
So your uncle, your father, your brothers she has got to serve the husband and the rest. And the kin.
Yes. Now because the child that comes out belongs to all of them, I think they've sorted the issue of infertility of men.
I don't know. Is that a practice a modern Mohima will accept, or this is your reading just in the books?
No.
Which the colonialists wrote.
Now, if you are dealing with counterfeits, you can look at the challenge we have. Those are all the cultural practices that have brought things that bring up fake things now. A modern Mohima cannot accept that, because that child ceases to be a wife, but if she ceases to be a wife, probably someone for using. A modern Muhima cannot accept that. If we are dealing with counterfeits, all those are some of the sagas which are affecting us now. The culture.
The culture aspects. We're back with the second segment of what is turning out to be an interesting conversation on DNA testing as a psychosocial counterfeit practice. Do you agree or not? Now, DNA testing, I'm sure when it started with that Swiss researcher, Frederick, when he invented it, I think it was a good objective to bring clarity and certainty to paternity issues, because these are very important. You need to know that this child is part of my lineage, this is, you know. So, in a way, that clarity and certainty is analogous to or similar to what we are doing here to fight counterfeits. Counterfeits is also, anti-counterfeit measures is also intended to clean the chaff from the wheat, you know, to get the right thing.
Yes.
So, from an anti-counterfeit perspective,
Yes.
DNA testing should be a good thing.
Yes.
It is okay. Why are we making so much noise about it to say that we are all sinners, we should allow it? Somebody will say that it is a form of encouraging counterfeiting for a man to look after a child, whereas the child is not theirs.
Yes.
So there is a tricky.
Now, I would say that going out for DNA is a good thing for this man to be safe. On the other hand, though, on the other hand, that we've handled the DNA, as we said in the other first episode, women are comfortable and they've gone on with this practice affecting men
for thousands of years.
For thousands of years. Can we live with this counterfeit all the years? No. Now this is the time.
So you're saying at some point we need to know the truth.
We really need to know the truth. Of course, it's not comfortable for, but it's even two-way. Some men leave families and go. A woman will go and get a child from out, in line with supporting the rest of the children. Because he got a wealthy man who can take care of all these, after all, the other man left. So if a man in his thinking, if a man comes out thinking that that child is not his, and yet he actually left the home, I'm wondering, if you left the home, are you very certain that whatever is in there is yours? There is that side of reasoning. There is also another side. If these children are more than 5, are more than 8, and all of them are not yours, there is also a question, where have you been? Because before we look at the DNA things, we have to be realistic. These things don't just come all of a sudden. I'm not defending women, but I'm being realistic. But even then, testing has an advantage. If someone has to continue taking care of the children and the like case, it is important for you to know that it is my blood. Then even if it's not your blood, most of us have been raised in families whereby these were not our parents. We can also take on these children as guardians, as we can take them on.
Yeah, but if it is done willingly, if I go and adopt a child, I know it's not my child. So in my conscience, I will not be disturbed because I know what I'm dealing with. It's the same way how you are disturbed. You buy a phone thinking it's genuine and you get angry when it is fake.
Yes.
So that anger is shared. If you find out the child is not yours, it's the same anger you feel when you buy a counterfeit.
Yes, yes.
But some will even argue that it may be excusable to some extent for a lady to go out there and buy fake cosmetic and apply it to herself. But for a lady to go out there and buy a father or and get a father for her child knowingly, okay, that I'm going to get engaged into an act which can lead to a father, and then come back to the man and say you are the father. So you escort her for antenatal, you buy the diapers. That is the highest form of counterfeiting, more than even buying a fake cosmetic. What's your sense?
But even then, you know, this is a challenge now. Do you know that most men want to have children with married women?
I have not done a study, but you can give us the results. Most men want to have
children from married women.
Why is that so?
I don't know. Now
because the fertility is proved?
No. Now assuming someone will look at Elon and see how she discusses well, she does this well, I think I can have a child with her. Men are also, you know, this thing of counterfeiting in this DNA is strange. Men are quiet there, but they also have children in other people's homes, and they are quiet. It is not an issue of women alone. Even other men are taking care of their children.
So what you are saying, that the motivation should not be squarely put on the head of the woman.
Yes.
To say that why are you motivated intentionally
Yes.
to go and get a child out there, that it takes two.
Yes.
Okay? Because that woman goes and meets another man who is also willing
Yes.
and intentional, and probably who has even lured the woman.
Yes.
Because it's the natural role of men to lure the woman. So that the blame should not actually be put on this woman who went sideways. Not even alone. It should first and foremost be put on the man. the other man. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
And you appear to make sense. Because the man holds a higher standing.
And remember, when this man is coming in for that, he has favors. Along with him are favors. If you give me a child, I'll take care of all the other children. In a crisis where this man is not in the house, in this crisis...
No, but there is a crisis where actually a bigger crisis where the man is even in the house.
Yes, at times the man is in the house, but at times financially absent, very absent, at times very emotionally very absent, at times very, spiritually absent, and he's there, you see. But family has to move. It comes with favors. If it comes with favors, and these favors are helping the rest of the children, then you'll find that the rest of the children are studying because of this other one, because of this middle child who has brought from out. It is not something that women have gone into deliberately. It's not fun. It is not fun for those who are culprits in there. It's not fun.
One of the biggest drivers of counterfeiting on this platform that we have discovered is this attitude of it is normal. That is how it is. It has been like that.
Yes.
And I'm hearing you advocating for normancy as one of the reasons we must not raise too much hell about DNA testing. It's normal. Our grandmothers did, or societies like that. Even the other man moved from here to here. Even your brother took your wife and vice versa. Normancy. How is normancy promoting these issues which have created a storm out of DNA testing? Should we just accept it and leave it and not go for DNA testing?
Everything is acceptable provided it's not, you're not in there. Now here we are looking at the woman and the man in this aspect, and we've not yet looked at the side effects of the child. Do you watch the paternal court? If you watch the paternal court, you can see the desperation of how how children are desperate for a belonging with their dad and their genealogy.
Some children don't care about it.
No.
They start their own life. Somebody was commenting when they saw a 50-year-old man crying, "I want to know my father." Some people on the chat group were saying, that man is not serious. Why doesn't he start his own lineage and do his own things?
There is something. By the time he comes out at 50, desperately, meaning this is beyond what we see. Because
it is spiritual.
It is spiritual. When we look at the spirituality, we are human and spirits.
We are spirits wearing a human body.
Yes. Now in the spiritual, in the spiritual side, this person is struggling with the two families because here they are claiming him and he belongs to the
Or
other side.
even familyless.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't know where you fall.
It is an identity crisis. You're in a crisis. Some of these people you'll find, if you just dug out what happens to those children, most of them end up wanderers. They never settle anywhere because in family, in the spirituality, they are struggling.
So you're saying the loss of identity to the child who is a victim of this DNA testing debacle is also for a form of counterfeiting, actually, because you cannot bring a child to this world as a mother, deny it the privilege of knowing its father,
Yes.
true father.
Yes.
So you're counterfeiting
Yes.
if you do that. And even you as a man, if you actually witness the coming into the world of this child, you are the father figure, you support it. For you after 20, 30 years, 10 years, to drop it, you're also counterfeiting. You are not being genuine, you are being fake.
You are, and even then, you realize, these children under some of those things, they'll always be in battles in the world. There is rejection that comes along. So these people struggling at 50 years to know their genealogy, to know their fathers, it's because they are struggling in life, and that's why they are desperate. But instead, as society, we are blaming them. Why do they do this? If they were well, you'll find that the counterfeiting issue of the DNA, for those who are well, they're not complaining. And those who are well are those the mother took time and introduced them to the two fathers. That, you know, my daughter, we are here, but the other one is what?
We're in a multi-party
You
system.
see, those ones in the multi-party are making it and they're moving on well. So for me, I would think, for the mothers who have taken that route, let them accept the multi-partyism in there and they introduce the children to the two parents.
Are you telling the men to take it as a blessing that somebody calls them father, even if they are not the actual father, and to continue with the grace of God to look after those children
Now,
without haste? And maybe their blessings will multiply if they look after a soul like that.
now this is what I would say. For that man who has low sperm count and is infertile, that is a blessing.
That is one. That is clear. But for the other one who has a proper sperm count but was side played, there is a natural affinity to be angry and to feel betrayed. Let's
That one
consider
cannot
that.
settle. That one cannot. That one cannot settle. It's like this lady worked as a green snake in green grass.
Okay.
So this man cannot. It's hard to deal
for
with
them to
guilt.
settle. So are you advocating for that man to break that
No,
family?
I'm not advocating for that. I'm advocating for that man to come to Family Comfort Foundation, our organizations.
Family Comfort Foundation.
Such that we give them the psychosocial.
Give us your contact so that they are men listening now. They need to contact you now.
Okay, my contact is 0700 352924.
What we are dealing with is a national crisis now.
Yes,
You saw Parliament debating it,
yes,
saying, look, there are DNA lab testing everywhere.
yes.
And we are going to even have some that will start giving fake results.
Yes, that is very
Okay?
true.
Depending on... So, I think it is a time now that the social sciences, I know sometimes the president says that arts and whatever, but this is a social science,
Yes.
psychology, or a science.
Yes, it's a social science.
It's an art and a science. You can see you're artistic, the way you have to present. So I think it is time that we rallied the society to a deeper understanding of the psychosocial impact
Yes,
of what looks to be a simple thing, just to
Yes.
go and do a DNA test.
yes.
It's actually a very grave thing. So your rallying call as a psychologist, what should the men, what should the families do to keep the family unit together.
Yes. Before taking this to DNA, they need to be prepared. There is a way we are so shrewd about the whole thing, you see. We don't prepare children, we don't prepare men, and people, instead of...
because it's usually not consensual. The family doesn't sit in a meeting and say, you and you, I'm taking you for DNA because I don't trust your mom. No, it is usually in a fit of rage or anger or suspicion that the man usually will go secretly, stealthily, and test.
But even
so are
then,
you suggesting that DNA testing should be subject to a family meeting first?
that is tricky because, of course, there are signals that bring about the DNA, but on the other hand, there is something we forget. Do you know that there are children who are switched at birth? How are we going to handle that? Because if we are to deal with DNA, all those issues are there, meaning the whole society has to be very careful now. How would we handle that children being switched at birth? Because that is an automatic DNA counterfeit. But it's not my fault.
But there's also, I saw somebody posting, it was like a joke, but I think it's serious. Somebody was saying that considering the way he's spending a lot of money looking after his dad, he wants a DNA test to confirm if that is his dad. So you can see the whole thing.
No.
So you have to test you go and test with your dad to say, you know what, every time you ask him for money, I want to know if you're my dad.
No, this thing is strange. Assuming the parents died, do you know that it's not, if I'm doubting myself in that family, I cannot test the DNA with my brother. Why? Because I'm also not sure whether he belongs to that family. So what do we do in this thing, in the DNA thing? This is my suggestion. It is something we are tackling, but it's hurting if we got into the details of it. I'm afraid for our men because they are going to begin running away from us the more, and yet we are looking for ways of...
But they'll run away from you and go to another woman.
and
so the issue of DNA testing will continue to arise because a man needs a woman, a woman needs a man. So they'll run away from you and go to another.
Yes.
If you've just joined us, this is the League of the Genuine Conversations, the only show on the planet, which I, Fred Mwema, host and have a guest, an interesting guest here. We are discussing the psychosocial effects of DNA testing. Is it counterfeit practice or not? So far, you've done a good job helping us to understand more about the DNA testing. I had parliamentarians in Uganda saying that we need to have a law to regulate the DNA testing. But in fact, we have the Registration of Persons Act, which was passed in 2015, under which you get your birth certificate and births are registered. What I have found missing or lacks in the law is that whereas it requires the physical presence of the mother and father at the time of registering the birth of a child, where you give the details, one of which, of course, is the paternity. I'm the father, you're the mother. The law does not require a DNA test to be taken at that time.
Why?
Okay, it doesn't. I think because by the time a couple goes to have their child born in a hospital, they come walking happily. Why should you task them to confirm if they are? You're spoiling the happy moment of a child being born to this couple. And I'm thinking that because there is a presumption under that law that when a birth certificate is issued, it is presumed to have the correct details. That you're the mother, and is the father. And I'm thinking that maybe the law causes a problem, because the law allows people to go through this happy moment whereas one is not the father, and they register everything, and they go and buy the diapers. And do you blame the law for this DNA from your social side?
The law is picking some of those things from the Normans of culture. They are hiding the fact that anything can happen. It's like the way culture is, the way culture had accepted it. So the law could not start...
Go behind. So if the law sees a man with a pregnant woman coming, and the man is carrying, that one is the father.
Yes. Because the law could be right. Why? They cannot start off to destroy families.
No, you rather don't destroy the family when the kid is born, 10 years, 20 years. Bring the issue when the child is in the stomach. Because after all, you can do a DNA test on a child, I think after 10 weeks or something. Why do you delay the trauma?
Now,
why don't you test when the woman is pregnant?
If we are to go that direction, I think we shall have dealt directly with the counterfeits.
Should we take it from a psychological side? Is it a better evil than doing tests when people are grown up with beards and walking the streets?
I think it is a better evil. Because the effects that come in after are unbearable. There is guilt that will go with you. There is betrayal that will always go with you. So I think by doing that, that is a regulatory measure for the habit. Because remember, this habit has grown and it has been normal throughout.
But let's face it, Ellen, you're a mother. Can you imagine you being subjected to the stress of checking the paternity of a child you're carrying? And you have got to go full term. You could even lose the child. That whole drama and stress, you can affect the rights of the unborn child.
I think if this is my husband and this is the child, it is okay to check.
For the confident woman, for the woman who has not been slimy, you're saying,
yes.
Take it.
By the way, look, it's also a regulatory measure for moving out. Remember, this thing has never been touched till now, but it has existed. And people who are coming up to fight for 50 years coming up to fight for paternity, we are calling them mad. You see? If we had sorted that early enough, if that measure is there, then fear attached to doing such evils is under regulation.
So you think that that will promote faithfulness?
Yes.
But is it possible to achieve faithfulness? Isn't it? Because even God himself gave up on us. He says, you guys, you are just crazy. So you think that unless you're going to make it compulsory, to say that when you're pregnant and you go for an antenatal, because some women may refuse to take the test, okay? Like in fact, many women, I have seen some comedy skits where some guy suggested to his wife that I need to check the DNA of these children, and the woman's conduct shows she had some guilt. So you can imagine if she's going for antenatal and it's a requirement by law that they check the DNA of the child. Many women will miss to go for antenatal because, you see,
this will create, for me thinking, we shall have right children, from probably the right fathers, yes. But this element of faithfulness, people will continue with cheating, but now conscious, not giving,
giving birth.
Not giving birth.
So you might have more cheating actually, but with less births. So it is unending. It's like a dog chasing his tail. You're saying you can never sort this out.
You can not sort it perfectly. You cannot sort it perfectly. But even then, this is because we need family and we're desperate for family. this is an error, or this is a challenge. When I had a parliamentarian saying that they are putting red flags for DNA, I felt they were not fair. It is now
because how many MPs know their fathers? Maybe we start from we start by asking the MPs to take DNA.
For them, their genealogies could be okay. That's why they even...
No, they don't know. They have not tested. We should start by asking all MPs, mandatory. And the results must be published on national TV.
But listen, there is also this saga. You'll never know who your father is.
Until your mother
dies. Meaning whoever is out there and they still have their mothers.
Is suspect. Or if your mother is not there, but no father
has come in to claim you, meaning yes, you belong there. But whichever the case now here, what raises noise for those people who are in this thing are those abnormalities that come along their way. That's why they come in at 50, to say, I need my father, I need to know my family, when you dig through, there is that guy who is always on TikTok and talking about that issue of asking the mother. He was like, he doesn't have a child. And he's saying, now what if the child I also get belongs to the same clan that I'm in? Meaning that will also be another saga. I would rather stay without a child. Now giving in that conclusion is not something very easy, meaning he's hurting. Meaning many things have failed. Meaning he's tending to get mad, and yet this person is still there. So my request is to ladies out there. We don't blame them. We don't blame women, and we don't blame mothers.
You don't blame them fully. They take some blame, but maybe not fully.
Okay, not we want to take it fully, but even then, let them be fair to these children. If they've gone in for multipartism, that is their choice. Let them see these children grow the healthy way by introducing them a little to the other. You belong here and there. You belong here and there. Because they are the masters of this game, so they should know how to handle. But they are confusing all of us in this thing.
So you are saying the women are the key.
Yes. To
solving this problem.
And yet there are those who are even very proud. I had someone talking about something, and she was like, there are secrets that a woman should die with. Those are the ones you never speak out. And among them, that is DNA. DNA. Is this how we are going to affect the men and the children all the time? Are we fair?
But some people think that DNA testing is not foolproof. That two brothers will have the same DNA. So if one brother slept with the other one's wife, the child will come out and it shows that the child is for the husband, who is a brother too.
That depends.
You see.
That depends.
So we should, I'm trying to say that maybe we should abandon this whole DNA thing because it's not foolproof. Because sometimes there can be contamination in the samples that are taken. There can be mislabeling. The person who fathered the child of your wife might be your brother, where the DNA will also show that it's okay. So this whole thing is just causing upheaval, and that we go back to the traditional way of raising our families.
You see, the challenge is here. When this child is grown up and someone is coming in to take that child, if we are to sort this issue, then let no man come in to claim this child when that child is grown up. There we shall have
so maybe there should be a time limit to say that if no man comes to claim this child after 9 months or 9 years,
never come, because now that we
amend the law.
Vows, we make vows in church. If you have not come in, if you don't have any reason that is genuine, don't come.
Because if you are a father and a responsible father, and you father the child out there, take responsibility within 9 months or 1 year. If you don't, the law takes it that you are not.
Yes, I think that can partly be sorted, but even then, the effects of the child that come along with this child, that is the mother's issue to sort. To introduce this lady, this child, to the two families. such that this child has two names, the other side, because there she can at least have peace, or the child may have peace. But keeping that secret in years and it comes out, it is. The Ebons used to act. They had a play they would act, and the child ended up in the family, getting married to the family in which she was born. Now those are the sagas, and remember, mothers have kept the secret.
And so you give birth to a son here, but the father is the other family, yes. And the son goes and marries their
the other
sister.
Side. Now don't you see that that ladies have a big part to play in that confusion?
So the ladies, your message to the ladies, the title of your message is How to Stop Causing Confusion.
Yes.
In these DNAs. What are you telling them?
Now, my fellow ladies, this is a challenging moment for all of us because yes, we are all mothers. But I would think if you went in for this, we don't blame you because you had reasons behind it. You had reasons, and which reasons could also be helpful to these other children that you give birth to. But this is my humble request. At least for this child to be safe, please introduce the child early enough to the two families in secret, because you decided to keep it a secret. Then to also those men who have taken on, who have their children in other families, please also make sure you support or you're in those people's lives. And
if the man in the other life allows, there's a caveat there. Because you may want to give support. You saw that story of
yes.
Two men met at the visitation of their daughter. The putative father was there, and the real father also came. So this other father came and started giving blows to this other, the real father. What are you doing with my daughter? The guy says, this is also my daughter. So even those men you are telling to give support, it's a problem.
Now women, mothers, this is a challenge to us. But we need to end the confusion. Because we are...
Now or after 10 years?
No. I think we need to end it now because we are the masters of the project. We are the masters of the game.
The architects and the engineers.
We can be human enough to stop the next confusion in the next generations.
So on that note, do you think that it is men or women who do more counterfeits based on this DNA thing? Where does the dice fall?
Someone wrote that heroes need capes, is it? In this project, I think women are the heroes.
They take the championship. We need to end here. Ellen, that has been a conversation, an interesting one, I must say. We have been discussing the psychosocial aspect of DNA testing. Is it a counterfeit practice or is it not a counterfeit practice? As always, we appreciate you making a date with us every evening, Friday evening, where we have this conversation. The aim of the discussion is to deepen your understanding about the various forms of counterfeiting that pervades our society. Once again, if you're new here, this show is intended to empower you, give you information to keep you safe, because we believe that uninformed consumer is an empowered consumer. If you like what we're doing, please do subscribe to our channel, do share this and other videos, and put that notification to remind you about the next interesting episode. As always, don't be fake, buy and sell genuine, always.